Hey, Karen. So I was thinking we can do this show starting it off with this idea about active listening. Well, what do you think?
What? Excuse me?
Active listening?
Oh.
Have you ever dealt with a person who wasn't using active listening, having some challenges in your life? Well, on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit more about active listening. Let's get into it. So, Karen, what is active listening?
So it's listening for the purposes of getting the information and learning more about somebody rather than
getting the information. So you're like taking something from someone?
No, absorbing the information that they're telling you, whether it's verbally, through their body language. Exactly. Trying to be present while somebody is speaking and not merely listening to respond.
Right. So listening as opposed to just hearing whatever's going on, waiting for your moment to jump in and, start talking.
Right. Exactly.
I never do that.
Never.
Well, we get together to talk about soft skills every Wednesday. So in this show, we're talking about the importance of active listening. So we have a good description of what active listening is now, but why is that such a good thing for soft skill development and career advancement?
Listening, and especially active listening, is crucial in your career because you can not only understand what's going on, what the culture is, the unspoken activities going on, how people are feeling. So it's important to, again, I cannot say it enough, but be present when you're speaking with somebody.
Oh, absolutely. And you can use this as you're leading up, across, down. It's a very important skill set to really develop. So if you're interested in any sort of growth and development in your career, this is one of the topics that would be really important.
Right, because what would it be like if I'm your employee and you're talking to me?
Yeah, and I'm trying to struggle for your attention and competing with this fantastic device that's right in your hand. Yeah, it'd be very challenging.
Exactly.
Or worse yet, what if that's your supervisor and you're coming and I'm talking to you about the important needs, concerns, issues that I have? What if I need to take sick leave because I need to go home and take care of family members who are in a really dire position? And you have a supervisor that's just like, what? Oh, yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Which we all multitask, right? Especially just as you start progressing, there's a lot of stuff to do and very little time. Time does not expand, but the to-do list does.
Right.
So some of us try to multitask, but it's just important to do your best to really focus on one activity at a time, especially when somebody is in front of you speaking.
Absolutely. Like you said, being present.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 strategies to talk about.
4.
Oh, we got 4. There we go. What's the first one?
So the first one is be engaged.
Be engaged. Absolutely. Have a genuine interest in what the person is talking about or what you're experiencing. If it's a class session or a presentation, or perhaps you have senior leadership that is giving a briefing on something, or if you're the senior leader and you have other people that had spent weeks trying to get this presentation ready for you. Well, yeah, be engaged, be interested in what it is that they have to talk to you about.
Right.
Yeah. What's the next one?
The next one is get rid of distractions.
So like looking at the phone, looking at other things. Yeah.
Having a sneezing dog.
Having an adorable sneezing dog. Off camera right now, our dog Clara is adorable. She's getting cute little sneezes.
Bless you, Clara.
Bless you, yes. But speaking of distractions,
yes.
How do you get rid of distractions?
You want to try to limit them as much as possible, right? Distractions could happen. A phone could ring, you get an email. But how about if you're going to have a conversation with somebody, you lock your computer screens, turn down your phone, put your phone on Do Not Disturb if you have the cell phone. Try to minimize those distractions as much as possible.
As much as possible. Yeah, absolutely. Very important. Simple things, but they make a huge difference. What's the next one?
So the next one is have some empathy.
Right. Have some empathy for what the other person is experiencing. Absolutely. Where are they coming from? Why is this an issue or concern for them? How is it that you may have the opportunity to help them in the situation they're experiencing right now? Try to have a better connection with them. So, Karen, what's the next strategy?
The next strategy is to connect the dots.
Connect the dots, the big picture. So how is it that you connect the dots by using active listening?
Well, you can hear the whole story.
Sure, and try to understand how it is that that particular issue that you're hearing about really has an impact on the bigger story, the bigger issue that's going on. For instance, if you're talking to your supervisor and they're trying to explain what you need to do for your task, well, how is it that that task is important to the bigger sense of operations for the organization? How are you playing a role in all of that? Once you understand the importance of what you're doing, it's a whole lot easier to be more engaged and to listen attentively.
So it kind of reminds me, it's not quite connect the dots, but like when we were doing those paint by numbers during quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm there focused so much on making sure I'm painting every little thing.
That was more pointillism that you were doing. There was
probably
so
more
tiny.
pointillism. And then I come back and to see the bigger picture, I'm like, oh, I didn't do much. But to see the bigger picture of it is like, yes, every little piece that I was painting, even though I spent an hour doing it, it is a part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, you understand how one dot is a bigger connection to the whole piece that you're putting together, the whole illustration. And the same is true for all of the work that we do as public servants. Our role has a bigger impact on the whole of the organization. There's a reason why that position is there and why you're doing that work. All of it is connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So connecting the dots, we talked about 4 things. I think the first one was make sure you're engaged. Second, get rid of any sort of distractions. The third is having a little bit of empathy. And then lastly, really being able to see the bigger picture, connecting the dots and the whole thing. I'm curious, Karen, for you, like what is the most important one for you, or what have you seen be the best influence for creating active listening?
I think it's really getting rid of distractions, because there's nothing worse than you're trying to present or trying to talk to somebody and they're just not paying attention. And so your value just seems to be diminished.
Right. Absolutely. And that's not something that anyone really wants, especially even if it's a minor thing. You don't want to be speaking with someone and feel diminished and feel devalued, because then how actively engaged are you going to be later on? How much are you going to expect your boss or your colleagues to support you when you really need them to, if they don't feel like you really care or support them?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just another person that's asking something of them rather than a person that values what you have to contribute.
Right.
No, these are big things, really. I think all of these are super important for public service as well, because, again, of the importance and the role that we play within the nation's well-being. So the more you can have active listening, the better off you're going to be. Well, that's it for this one. We really appreciate you hanging out a little bit with us. I'm curious, Clara, do you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to add?
Oh, very nice.
Very good. Well, if you were using active listening, that was very moving. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. We look forward to seeing you guys next week.